everyone for joining us today. We have with us Fred Kraus, Ying Qin, and Octavian Vlad. They are going to be talking to us about the new Archibus V26.1 release. Just a few housekeeping items before we get started. Everyone is on mute. If you have any questions, feel free to enter them into the questions or chat section, and we will get to those at the end of the presentation. And also, we are recording this session, and we will be sending out the recording either later today or tomorrow. And with that, I will turn it over to Fred.
Hi, everyone. This is Fred Kraus, and I'm in the product management group at Archibus and Space IQ, and really excited to talk about Archibus version 26.1 today. I'm assuming you can hear me okay and see the slides.
Yes.
I did want to introduce myself and say hi, but for the purpose of bandwidth, I'll turn off my camera now and focus on the presentation. So we'll get started, and we have plenty of things on the docket today about 26.1. And I'll just point to the icon, which represents user voice ideas, and note that a lot of these are coming directly from those of our users who enter in ideas, users and partners, and internal colleagues also who enter in ideas, vote on those ideas, and those that really gain traction really help us gauge what is really most important to the user base and what we should be working on. For 26.1, we continue to focus a lot on user experience, and of course also on returning to work. Two major themes that we hear from you that are really top of mind for you and your organizations at this point in time. For user experience, we've added some neat items to the Space console and also to the Move console, which we're excited to show you. And for Archibus Workplace, which is really the employee-facing employee experience app that allows employees or end users to book spaces in a hoteling fashion, make reservations, find people, create service requests. That's really our central our focus for returning to work, and building on the theme of returning to work that we've presented in previous releases. We're going to continue to add to that, and we're excited to show you those. Rounding out, we've done some work with making it easier to create your own reports in something we call Report Central. We've created a demonstration version of badging connector, so creating a way for badging data to come into Archibus and report on it. And finally, some more user experience improvements in our framework controls. So lots going on, and just a note on 26.1, it is finishing up. We are dotting the I's, crossing the T's, finishing up our testing, and we do plan to release it tomorrow. So really excited. We've been on that quarterly cadence. At the end of this month is our next quarterly cadence, and we're really excited to bring it to you quite soon. So on to 26.1. I'll just go into more detail on the agenda that I showed you, starting with the query search. So we've heard from you about searching for items on the Space console. We introduced a quick search a couple of cycles ago. We have a more detailed advanced search that you can access from the filter icon. But in the middle, where did that leave us? So that's what we wanted to design, something that allows you to quickly build your searches and access the information that's important to you. So we have a way of creating flexible queries. Also, locating employees was built into that as well. And when you're locating employees, you can find employees either whether they are permanently assigned or whether they are hoteled in for that day. To demonstrate that in a short video, I'll ask my colleague Ying to just narrate this video as I play it.
Thanks, Fred.
All
Can
set?
you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good to see everybody here. I'm just going to run a quick demo for Space Console Query Search we built in 26.1. So I'm going to turn off camera just to keep the bandwidth going smoothly. All right. So Fred, yeah, so thanks. So there's a search mode you can pick. Quick is the current search, and then we have employee search, where you can type employee's ID or name and search their location, and query search for you to compose the queries. You can use spacebar to enter to get a list of the selections. So query search is mainly for space manager who knows their data. So in this case, I just wanted to search for floors for each queue, and I can find the floors that I wanted, and then floor will automatically load it up. I can compose more complicated query. In this case, I wanted to find floors in building NC05, and I'm not sure the division's name, but I know it has admin in it. So I'm going to use the division like and type in admin. And I found 2 floors. I can pick floor 3. And from there, I can select my highlights, and I can drill down into the admin services division to see the rooms related with it. So some other functionality, including include search. So this one will allow you to search for office or workstation category, and you can find the floors contain those categories, and you can look further into the rooms that belongs to those categories. There's a functionality for you to choose your search field as well. So if you don't search, don't want to search for name, you don't have to do it. You can just uncheck those. We can get right into the employee search. So I can find an employee's location. I type in Abby, and this shows the employee's permanent location. And I load up the floor plan. The room will automatically zoom in, and you can see other information from left. You can also find Abby's hotel location if she has a booking for today. The room will also zoom in for you to see the actual room numbers and the employee's name. So that's all I like to show. I hope you like those features we built for this release.
Thank you, Ying.
Yep.
That's the query search. Moving on, we also made some other improvements in the Space Console, designed again to save time and make the experience a little bit more manageable with fewer clicks in some cases. So one thing that we've heard from you is I'd love to be able to print a clean floor plan without any highlights. So we enabled that. We wanted to be able to better zoom in when selecting employees or rooms. So you'll find that that's easier and that's smoother to do. Dragging and dropping employee names also. So we had typically done this with employee code, but we also can enable the employee name text and show that as labels on the floor plan and drag and drop those around just like you could do employee codes. And that's in situations where the employee code might be a number, but really the name is the name. And so we allow those names to be seen and dragged and dropped as well. So good improvements to a lot of them. Again, we've heard from you. On the Move console, what we heard was this is great that we can see all of the move orders, both individual and group moves in one place, but we still have to go somewhere else to create our moves, to initiate a move, a new move request. Well, no longer. So we've added the ability to request a move right from the Move console. The other thing we've heard was the filter was good, but there were some other filter options that were top of mind that were limiting when we didn't have them. So we added those additional filter options such as division, project code and project name, and move order number if you have it. So additional ways to filter on what you need to hone in on, and of course an action to create moves without moving away from the move console. Moving on to Archibus Workplace, again, the employee experience app that is really central to a lot of our customers' return to work plans, whether it be enabling employees to get back to the office safely in a hoteling fashion, booking spaces, maybe making meeting room reservations, and of course finding people requesting services. One thing that was top of mind for Workplace being that that one interface that many end users will access is to make it accessible to people with visual or hearing impairments that use additional devices to hook up to their screens, such as screen readers, color contrast improvements, and so we've made that a priority to make Workplace accessible in the Wcaga Web Content Accessibility Guideline level 2.1 level A and AA compliant, which is the newest standard. So we've worked with an outside consulting firm to help us test and get this to comply with those standards. Onto some functional changes. We continue to hear from you and our partners and colleagues about hoteling and making sure that we enable employees to have a safe return, really by working on enhancing the booking experience. Some things that we've heard that we've implemented, the ability to limit the number of days to book ahead. So with an application parameter, you can set, for example, only to do 30 days ahead of time. And if it's 30 days, then the calendar that controls what you search just simply grays out after that 30-day mark. Limiting to all-day bookings. We currently have morning and afternoon and all day. If you make a parameter switch, the interface just shows all day bookings and doesn't give users the ability to book half days. We enabled a health check before checking in. So the process for checking in, if this is enabled, would enforce the user to confirm a health check whose text is configurable, and before seeing the confirm button. So a pretty simple process. You first confirm you're not experiencing symptoms, and then you can do a confirmation of the space or the check-in of the space before going in and occupying the space. If you can't confirm your health and you never get the check-in button, and the system, as controlled by application parameters, the system will release your space after a certain amount of time if you don't check in. So that's how that process works. We've also made some enhancements to the workflow, such that you can see what desks are booked around you. When you're looking for a desk, you can see which ones are booked, which ones are still open. When you click on those booked desks, you see who's booked. The process, you can search when you're searching for people, which is a common process in Workplace. You can book right from that screen, and the system will actually go to that floor that you've just searched for. You want to search for a colleague, you find where that colleague is, and then you can go right into the booking process to book a desk near that colleague. So additional ways to just improve the process of booking with more context. In addition to that, we've made some changes to the UI, the user interface with floor plans in the booking process. We've removed the pins. Pins were good, but were never great, and we've had some issues with its placement, and also some performance performance issues with the pins. So we actually thought it was cleaner to remove them during the booking process. and you'll see the result here as a screenshot. The other thing we did is removed the text labels of rooms during the booking process. We feel that the context of seeing those spaces is enough. Obviously, when you're clicking on a space, you'll see the room numbers, and we've continued to have the room codes show when you're finding rooms. Of course, you want to see that context there, but not in the booking process. So hopefully this makes it cleaner. Again, from the end user perspective, just easier to use, more intuitive. So that was a brief rundown of the workplace changes that we've put into place. Again, really trying to listen to you and enable a better process for employees to get back to the office, which again is really top of mind for many of our customers. Moving on, we've done some work to try to enable a way to easily create and analyze data that you have that may not be in our out-of-the-box reports. So what we've called this is Report Central, and it's an easy way to create reports and charts, tailor those charts by creating your filters and your ordering, and then publishing and sharing those reports with others. This is really based on some themes that I had talked about in previous webinars about flexibility, making our standard product more flexible and more easily configurable. And this was one way that we thought would be a great way to do that. And to go into a little bit more detail on Report Central, I'll invite Octavian to just do a brief narration of this video.
Hi everyone, nice to see so many of you here, and also thank you very much for adding all those user voice ideas that led to this new feature. So we can start the...
There we go.
All right, so as Fred mentioned, this is a very easy tool to create a report. You can just pick one of the tables that we have in our database, and then the next step is for you to pick the fields that you need to include in the report. For example, in this case, I'm picking fields related to equipment. You can remove the ones that you don't need, but for this report that analyzes the equipment cost to replace, I just need the equipment code, cost to replace, and some data around locating the equipment. And the next step is to add a filter. So I can filter out any data that I don't need in my report, for example, any equipment that doesn't have a cost to replace, and I can focus on a specific building and floor. For example, in this case, building HQ, floor 18. So as you can see, the data is now filtered. So those are the equipment for my building with a cost to replace, and I can add one of the chart types. Right now we support 4 chart types, but we'll add more in the coming versions. In this case, I'm going to add a chart that shows the equipment cost to replace. You can add a title for the chart. You can turn on or turn off the legend and the chart labels. And once you are done, you can save it, and you can see in this case, the column chart. You can switch between the charts just by clicking on one of the chart types and choose the one that fits best your report. And in the end, you can save the report. You can add a description and also publish it with publish the report with your peers. You publish the report by picking one of the Archibus applications and processes that they have access to. So for example, if a asset manager wants to see this report, you just publish the report to that process. And that's it. They will be able to see the report in the Reports tab. And if they have also designer writes, they can edit the reports themselves. So it's a really simple tool to use, and it was built based on all your feedback around simplifying ad hoc reporting. So thank you very much for adding all those great ideas.
Thank you, Octavian. And I know that these questions have come up in previous discussions, so I'll just add that this report central is accessible by in the system admin menu. If you have the Sas Delivery, it's also in Foundations, and it's available to those who have specific roles that can see it. So it's not available to everybody, of course. The sharing is actually sharing done in Report Central. So we're not adding, right now, we're not adding that published report to an actual Process Navigator item. We're adding it to this Reports tab for those who have access to that Process Navigator item, to that report. So when Octavian picked the process and the role, it's looking for people who have access to that process and role, and it would show this report to those people within Report Central. Next step would be to add that to the Process Navigator itself, but I wanted to just make that distinction. That was something that was a question before. Octavian, are there other items, like more technical, that I think that that people would be interested in hearing about, or did that cover it?
I think that was an important information to mention. We are still working to improve the Report Central. One note and maybe one limitation that you need to be aware for the first version: we don't yet support aggregation or grouping. For the first version, you are limited to charts that don't need to show averages or sums of your data, but we'll be adding that in the next version. And I think some other technical details for the filters, and it's important to know that you can, if you are a designer, you can lock some of the filters. You see the lock icons on the screen, and when you lock the filter, that means that the asset manager to which I published the report earlier cannot edit the filter. So you can set a permanent restriction that way, or you can leave some of the filters unlocked, and then the user that consume the report can filter the data further.
Thanks, Octavian. Yeah, and like we've done in many previous quarterly releases, we introduced something for the version 1, which certainly meets our internal quality and scope bar, but we'll continue to improve upon it in versions 2 and 3, like we've done with other things that we've introduced recently, like the maintenance checklists. We continue to improve each release. So we hope you like this edition, and we'll continue to listen to your feedback on it and improve it over the next few releases. Another item I mentioned, which is really as a ability to demonstrate the ability to connect to a badging system in order to monitor capacity and social distance compliance as people return to the office. We know that we know perhaps what people have booked. We know perhaps from other enhancements we've done to return to work how many people indicate when they're coming in and in what cohort, for example. But this allows you to say, well, what really is going on? How can we measure what's actually going on? And one way, of course, is to connect with badging systems to show those results. So we can import that employee badge data and report on it to support, what's really going on, who's coming in, what floor they're actually assigned to, and really start monitoring the utilization of the space. Additional enhancements that we thought were worthwhile covering are really designed to, again, save time, easily locate items and uploading items. So such as the ability to, one is location. We heard, you know, the drawing control has some icons that allow you to control, you know, your text sizes, zooming to extents, zooming in and out. When the floor plan, highlighted floor plan was overlaid with it, they were hard to find. So we made changes just to show them and allow them to pop out even when floor plans or highlighted floor plans were underneath it. We're allowing the ability to drag and drop documents into the document field. So again, the idea of finding something easily and easily uploading it. If you have the document available on your desktop, for example, you can just simply drag and drop it over to a document field, and that'll upload it. So easily just saving time in various ways. And highlighting a tree node across the product, the feedback we received was when something is open and I see the details of it, it's hard to indicate what level and what item on the tree I'm actually focused on. So bringing that attention bringing that attention to that item by highlighting it is what we've been able to introduce to standard tree nodes across the product. So those are really the highlights of 26.1. Hope you're as excited about it as we are. And next, I wanted to mention what we're considering for the future. The first is a mobile app for the maintenance field worker. I wrote a little, you know, the user story to kind of summarize it is as a maintenance professional, I'd like to have an easy access to the work in my queue, along with all the information I need to do it right. I want to organize my work by priority and location so I can focus on fixing and maintaining critical assets while minimizing travel and paperwork. So we're in the midst of creating a new mobile experience for the field worker. We have a current mobile maintenance app that's not going away. We have a mobile framework that's also not going away, but we do want to offer something more modern and intuitive and quicker for the field workers to use. And so that's one thing that we're really focused on, and that's underway. Forge integration, I think I mentioned this the last time also. As a building manager responsible for asset reliability and maintenance, I'd like to have access to all asset details established in BIM during design construction so I can see the information online and in one place. Autodesk has a series of APIs that they've labeled the Forge APIs that really allow cloud models to really allow us to interact with cloud-based models in all of its rich detail. And being able to integrate with that and bring those details both visually and data-wise into Archibus is a big focus of ours. So I'm really excited about this, and we're working on we've established a proof of concept, and we're working on bringing this also into the product. I mentioned some themes before, and we continue to improve upon them. So just as a reminder, you know, we really are focused on making it easier to use standard software. We hear this a lot from you. We're taking it very seriously, and hopefully you see the results as we continue to make improvements over our quarterly releases. Not only in user experience and user interface, making things more intuitive. We have a committed interest in we're committed to making things also faster and improving on that configuration I mentioned. So the first bullet, configuration and reporting, is that theme that governed our delve into the Report Central. User experience, of course, continues to be top of mind, and making those module improvements in a way that you find easier to work with and easier to use is a key for us. Innovating on promising technologies is another area. Badging data, IoT, other themes as we continue to work on this area include predictive maintenance, being able to hook up to BMS, for example, building management systems, and their analytics in order to raise alerts when they're needed. And digital twins, which is certainly a parlance that has been gaining some traction, gaining steam over the last year or two. So we continue to look into those areas, as well as leveraging Space IQ solutions. So Archibus is part of the Space IQ family. We're continuing to work on ways to integrate our products together in a more seamless fashion. As a reminder, I mentioned it before, Archibus does deliver in both on-premise or partner-hosted model, and it also has a SaaS model. The Sas Delivery is a set of modules, and so we've just reorganized the applications and domains that we have in the on-prem delivery model, and to simplify things and to introduce them and to organize them into modules that follow a SaaS pricing. The SaaS delivery, like any delivery for Archibus, is quarterly. With SaaS, though, you'll be our customers who choose SaaS are automatically upgraded after each quarterly release. We're working on a developer portal to allow personalizations on top of a SaaS delivery, and it includes the web core component. Also includes a foundations piece, which is a sort of a get started pack that includes some parts of workplace, services console, space console, and other parts that are enable customers to get started quickly. So just a reminder that there's multiple ways of delivering Archibus. It is just one Archibus, but we deliver it in multiple ways. SaaS is one of them that organizes the Archibus into modules. We've said this many times throughout the presentation, but user voice is that way that we collect ideas from you and votes on those ideas that really inform our process. And hearing those ideas from you has been a great source of information and a great way for us to collaborate on what's most important to you, and then therefore what's most important to us in order to deliver. So we use this across all of the Space IQ products, and we really appreciate all of the collaboration that we've been able to do with Archibus and really align your needs to ours. As a reminder, we continue also to work on our help system that includes all of the items that we've presented and more. So please look at our end user help, look at what's new and more in depth on what we've been able to do. This is just the tip of the iceberg. We obviously work on other parts of the product and bug fixes and improvements. So please take a look at the help as we continue to show more detail of what we've done, and connect also to what's next in there. And I believe with that, I'll turn it over to Danielle to just mention Return Agile.
Thank you, Fred. Appreciate it. So I just wanted to let everyone know, if you haven't seen already, we are hosting our event Return Agile at the end of May. We're trying to gather experts from facility management, space management, workplace, and commercial real estate to discuss strategies for a move back to the office. So we'll be streaming these events live. We have one session for Americas and EMEA, which is May 26th and 27th. and one for APAC, which is May 27th and 28th. One also note that I wanted to make is our keynote speaker, Adam Grant, will be joining us. He is an organizational psychologist and a best-selling author, host of Work Life and a TED Original podcast. So he's going to have a bunch of insights for us as well. If you would like to learn more or go ahead and get registered, you can go to spaceiq.com/returnagile. And with that, I think we will open it up for questions here. It looks like we have a good number of great questions that have come through, so we'll go ahead and get started. We'll try to answer as many of these as we can. If we can't get to all of them, we will put together an FAQ document and send it out with the recording, probably tomorrow. All right, so the first question is the search feature limited to anchor staff, or will it search for staff hoteling as well?
I'm assuming that's the query search for Space Console, and it does both. It'll search for permanent employees, employees permanently placed, or employees who have booked space in a hoteling fashion.
Great, thank you. And this next question is actually about user voice. When the status shows complete or completed, what does this mean? Does it mean that Archibus is putting this feature in an upgrade release?
Yes, yeah. I actually went through and put as complete. So it was, I apologize, it was a couple of days early, so great question. I went through and marked complete those ones that actually are going to be in 26.1. So if you did receive an email, you can expect those completed ideas to be in 26.1.
Great, thank you. Next question, does the Space Console handle secondary rooms?
Right now, the Space Console is based on just primary rooms, not secondary or satellite offices. It is on the roadmap to be able to do things that, or to enable some items that were part of our workspace transactions, but it's not, the Space Console right now is the primary rooms and primary employees.
Okay, thank you. The next question, on the query search, can you filter to specific rooms, for example, highlight rooms by number if you needed to show the location of the rooms on a floor plan? I guess this is being able to search multiple rooms at the same time.
I can take that. Yeah. So the query search currently don't search for the room ID. So we search a set of fields similar to quick search, including the division, department, building, site, building, floor, and room category. If you like to search for a particular room, you will need to go into the advanced search. Another way to do it is you can search for a particular floor, and then in the rooms tab, you can type in your room code using the MIDI console and search for that particular room.
Great, thank you, Ying. The next question is is 30 days the only limit you can do on hoteling?
Oh, no, that's controlled by, I'm sorry, that was controlled by, I was just an example, it's controlled by an application parameter, so you can set your limit. I'm assuming that's talking about the number of days ahead that people can book. That's configurable.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Next question, we are getting quite a few inquiries about touch panels for workplace modules to display outside the conference rooms. Do you have any recommendations, or do you recommend any specific make or models for this purpose? For example, a list of compatible Android or iOS devices.
I'd have to look into that and get back to you on that. I don't have a list off the top of my head, except to say that, of course, Workplace itself can go into a kiosk mode. But if you're looking to integrate with a third party, I can get back to you on that.
Great, thank you. I Next question, is Workplace now compliant to WCAG and AA?
Yes. So the it's obviously compliance is an ongoing effort. So in 26.1 we've made great strides in being compliant to those standards. We will be getting a VPAT, a voluntary product accessibility test certificate from our vendor, but that is not yet. We don't have that yet. We're continuing to do some improvements, and we will get that VPAT actually in the next couple of months.
Great, thank you. Next question, is the search feature in Workplace dynamic in a search box or just looking over the floor to find a coworker?
In Workplace, there's an employee search, but I believe what it does is, it's dynamic in that it'll show a list of employees or rooms or equipment really that meet what you're typing in. So in that way it's dynamic, but then the user picks from that list to hone in and highlight the space where that entity is located. Hopefully that answers the question.
Okay, thank you. Next question, I think we may have gone over this, but just in case, can you customize the information in the health check feature? For example, if we have a specific COVID message we would like to communicate.
Yes. Yep. It uses our edit messages view and the messages framework to be able to tailor that message according to whatever you want it to say.
Great, thank you. The next question, will Archibus continue to build out and enhance room reservations, as some of us are planning to utilize this module since hoteling only allows for a minimum of half-day booking?
Room reservations is something, yes, certainly something that we continue to work on. I'll just mention that we are looking at some reporting enhancements for the next release, and also key on our roadmap is a way to make the system of record for your rooms and employee reservations data in either GCal or Exchange. So it's kind of changing it and allowing that flexibility of booking using Exchange or using GCal or using Archibus, where the information is shared among them. So those are items. I didn't mention it to what's next, but it's a great one to mention. It's on our roadmap.
Great, thank you. The next question, is Report Central a standard part of Webcentral or an additional product?
It is not an additional product. It's a standard part of Webcentral.
Great. And can you add multiple field sort feature to Report Central so they can search by building, floor, room, for example?
Yes.
Yeah. So you can pick multiple fields from multiple tables also. So for example, if you have you want to build a report on the rooms table, you can also pick fields from the building table. So you start with a standard table, and you then pick can pick the fields not only from that table but also from the tables that are linked to the standard table.
Got it. Thank you, Octavian. And will there be an option added for paginated reports or Excel reports?
Yes, we have on our roadmap to add export to Excel and also export to doc and PDF.
Great, thank you. And can you add standard tables in the reporting?
Yes, I think I already responded to that. Yeah, you can use multiple tables.
Okay, looks like we had that question a few times here, so I'm just trying to read through these. Can you use Report Central to create KPI reports such as total demand work orders per month per site?
So right now you can leverage also the metrics framework. So for example, you might have already defined the KPI or a metric using the metrics framework, and then you can use Report Central to build a chart on the metrics data that you already have. And in the next version, we'll be also working on allowing you to do aggregations, like summing, averages, maximum, minimum. That's not yet available. But I think for the first version, as I mentioned, you can use one of the performance metrics that you have and create a chart or a report on the metrics data.
Great, thank you. Next question, if you have not gone to V25 from V23 of Webcentral, can you jump right to V26?
Yes, I don't see a reason why not. There's always a path to upgrading to the latest version, no matter where you're coming from. Certainly, there's more. The only additional challenge is just more schema changes to run, but we do have automated ways to do that from version to version. But there's no reason that I can think of that would preclude getting to the latest version from wherever you are.
Perfect, thank you. Next question, can you use the Report Central to create capital projects financial status reports, for example, total project budget versus commitments versus budget remaining?
So I think that's similar to the earlier question. So for the first version, since we haven't added yet aggregation, you would need to use one of the existing performance metrics. For the next version, we are planning to add groupings and aggregation. So then you'll be able to do more extensive queries like the one that you mentioned. And then in the next versions, we'll be looking to adding more templates to the Report Central. So you can go beyond just having a grid and the chart. And for example, for a financial report, to be able to structure it like a page, but that's in the upcoming versions, not in this version.
Okay, perfect, thank you. The next question is, would the badging report also work if people don't have badging data? For example, if they only use Archivists, Hoteling, or Reservations to view the same report?
It's a good question. It uses the badging report, and data uses a different set of, Octavia might be able to answer this also, but it uses a different table, different structure, so it wouldn't be a direct connect to the hoteling data. Although what's interesting about that is that I'm sure that there's a way to transform, the hoteling data into what the badging data consumes. Octavian, I don't know, that was off the top of my head. I don't know if you have a.
I'm not sure I totally understand the question, but again, this for this version, this is mostly an example. We'll be looking to make it a product in the next version, and we'll be looking to infer some data around where you booked if you booked your space or you were in a meeting. Right now we just import data at the building level, and then we can query the assignment type for every employee. So for every employee, we calculate if the employee was in the building because they had a reservation or they had a booking there. So I think we'll be adding more in the next version, and I'm looking for feedback from you and ideas. So feel free to add these ideas to the user voice, so I can look at them for the upcoming version.
Great, thank you so much. Okay, the next question is, could a report created in Report Central be displayed in a home page?
Not right now, because you cannot yet add it to the navigator, but you could add a link to the Report Central view to the home page, just like you add any other task, and then the users that are consuming the reports can click on the Report Central task, and they will see the list of the reports that were shared with them.
That's a good suggestion for the future, to be able to, for example, publish a report to the homepage, perhaps.
Yes, definitely. If you want to enter that into user voice, that would be great. All right, the next question. Is it possible to have more than 4 document fields in a work request? We often need to add more, but can't.
I'll take that. I'm smiling because it's something that is top of mind for. I mentioned the new mobile app for field workers. It's something that we're really seriously considering doing something different with document management with work orders. So not right now in 26.1, it's still the 4 fields, but I'll look for changes in the future.
Great, thank you. The next question, are there any updates to the ArcGIS connector?
I'd have to get back to you on that, but not that I'm aware. No, I believe it's no updates to the ArcGIS connector. Okay. But if I'll get back to you if I'm incorrect.
All right, sounds good. Next question, will the highlights on the tree mode include showing what organizations, room categories are selected on the Space Console?
Oh, the highlights for the tree node was actually just across the whole product. Any view that has a tree node is when the user selects that tree node and shows details, for example, on the right-hand side, that tree node is highlighted. It hadn't been before. The Space Console is a different case, and we had always highlighted the Space Console had always highlighted where the user was on the tree node and selected and honed in on those on that tree node as a filter in the drawing. So I believe what I'm hearing, I believe that functionality exists already.
Yeah, for Space Console, because it's a customized table tree structure, so it doesn't fall through the standard process. We have our own highlights for Space Console, but we do aware that there is some enhancement work need to be done for that part. So yeah, as Fred mentioned, the current enhancement, it's geared towards the standard tree controls, that regular tree controls has parent and child instead of the tables type of tree control.
Got it. Thank you, guys. Okay, the next question is on the maintenance mobile app. So will the new mobile app, and I think you kind of talked about this with the syncing, but will the syncing time be improved?
Yes, we'll provide what we call mostly a live connection with no need to sync, but whatever's on the page is cached. It's a light syncing. So much like you would think your email works or your email queue on your phone. So yeah, we're drastically we will be improving the performance with a much lighter syncing that we feel is much more appropriate for today's connected world.
Great, thank you. The next question, with the drag and drop of a document feature, are you able to attach a link for larger files?
Not, I'll take this, Ing, but you can always weigh in. Not for not to the drag and drop feature, but we do have a concept of reference documents. If you're not familiar with it, that can show up on work requests as well. And reference documents have the ability to create links such as a URL that can be referenced directly into a PM work order or an on-demand work order, and other entities within Archibus as well. So the reference document set of functionality does enable that.
Great, thank you. Looks like we have time for maybe one or two more questions, so we'll try to squeeze as many as we can in here. The next question is, in hoteling, what is the actual time limit before the office is released, and can those parameters be edited?
The parameters, there is no standard. The parameter can be edited. So you can choose your own time, and you can choose whether it's before or after the booking start date, the booking start time. It can be a few minutes before, it can be a few minutes after. It's configurable.
Okay, and tagging onto that with the hoteling, is there a checkout so that the desk is available for a booking?
There's no. So once a desk is booked and checked in, to my knowledge, the only way to release that space is to cancel the booking. So that's in effect a checkout. But so the canceling, I believe, would still work, but not a. That's in effect, I think, the checkout option.
Okay, and then if I guess it just went past the time that was allotted, it would just automatically check them
automatically.
Out,
but I think that I read the question to be if someone wanted to, leave after half the day and they book their desk for the whole day, what can they do?
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, I think that is all the time we have for today. So as I mentioned, thank you all for the great questions. I know that we weren't able to get to all of them, so we will put them together in an FAQ document that we will send out with the recording. And thank you to Fred, Ying, and Octavian for presenting today. Really appreciate it. We hope you all have a great day and stay safe.
Thank you. Thanks for your attention.
Everyone.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.